Okay, so these are the absolute inequalities, not equations, okay? These are the inequalities. So this here, right, x can be less than 3 and x can be greater than negative 3. Again, notice I changed the direction of the inequality and I changed the sign, okay? So if we put that on a number line, if we call this 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, okay, I take a look at where this is pointing, okay? This is pointing that way. The negative 3 is pointing that way. So that answer is everything in between negative 3 and positive 3 would be the solution, okay? Parentheses, because there's no equal sign here. Okay, let's look at the next one. Now, for this one, first of all, we're going to have to add this 2 first. Add a 2. So what you've got is the absolute of x minus 6. But now this is less than or equal to 9 because I added the 2 to both sides, okay? You don't combine these numbers, okay? One's inside the absolute, one isn't. So let's just leave the x minus 6 alone. Now, again, like the above question, we can have x minus 6 is less than or equal to 9. And we can also have x minus 6 is greater than or equal to negative 9. Again, I changed direction of the inequality and I changed the sign. So if I add a 6 to this one, add a 6, I'm going to get x is less than or equal to 15. If I add a 6 to here and add a 6 to here, I'm going to get x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Okay, those are the two answers. So if I put, let's say negative 3 here, and let's say positive 15 here, and again, I look at the direction that these are pointing. Okay, that's pointing that way. That one's pointing that way. So again, it's in between these two numbers, but it's got a bracket this time. Negative 3 to 15 with a bracket, okay? Again, because of the equal sign. Now, the first two were less thans. This one is a greater than, but you still do the same idea, okay? Take the 4k minus 9, put it greater than or equal to 8. So exactly as it's written. Then also, you've got the 4k minus 9, but again, you change the direction and you change the sign. So for both of these, we're going to add a 9. Add a 9. So this one is 4k greater than or equal to 17. If you divide by 4, k is greater than or equal to 17 fourths. Okay, so that's one answer. Over here, if I add a 9 and add a 9, this time 4k is going to be less than or equal to positive 1. Negative 8 plus 9 is 1. Oops, that's 4k, don't forget. So now divide by 4, k is less than or equal to 1/4, and that's the other answer. So I'm going to put 17 fourths about here. I'm going to put 1/4 about here, but this time look at the way they're pointing, okay? This is pointing that way, this is pointing that way. So the interval notation for this is this one. This is coming from negative infinity, goes as far as the 1/4 with a bracket because of the equal sign. Then we'll put a u, okay, and then it goes from 17 fourths to infinity, again with the bracket because of the equal sign. So that is the solution. Right, these are the equations now. I'm just going to do one of these. That one's not going to be in it. Remember, this is no solution because you can't equal a negative number, all right, as an absolute. So that would have no solution anyway, but I won't put that on the test. Right, okay, I'll just do question 4 here. You're going to take away 4 from both sides first. So 7k plus 3 as an absolute equals 6 because I took away 4. Now do the two rules. 7k plus 3 equals 6 and 7k plus 3 equals negative 6. Okay, 1 plus 1 minus. Right, so we're going to take away 3. Take away 3. 7k equals 3 because 6 take away 3 is 3. Divide by 7, k equals 3/7, and that is one answer. Okay, same for here. Take away 3, but this time 7k equals negative 9, negative 6, negative 3. Divide by 7 again, k equals negative 9/7, and those are your two answers. Okay. Right, graphic equations. Now remember, when you're doing the y equals mx plus b format, this is the y-intercept. So I'm going to start right here at -3. Remember, this is the slope. So I'm going to go up 2 and on 5. 2/5, positive direction. So up 2, count 1, 2 to here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and join those two together, and that's the answer, okay? 2/5 x minus 3. Right, now this one we can do by the x and y intercepts, if you remember this. I'll do it like this, x and y. If I set x equal to 0, then that has gone. So 9y equals 18, divide by 9, divide by 9, y equals 2, okay? So let's start that again. Right, when the y equals 0, that's when this isn't there, okay? Can you see 3x equals 18, so divide by 3, x equals 6, right? So let's plot those. So when x equals 0, y equals 2. When y equals 0, x equals 6, and that is the graph, okay? Right, question 8. Equation of line through given points. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So remember, you've got to do this, okay? This has given you 2 points, so you've got to use the slope formula first, okay? Before you can plug it into y equals mx plus b. Because I think most people seem to like to do this one. Remember, you can do the point slope formula, which is this, if some people do want to use it. Remember those two we did on the board? Okay? So either one. But first of all, of course, because there's no slope in this question, I've got to find it from this. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. We'll call this x1 and y1. Let's call this x2 and y2. So y2, okay, is 0. So 0, take away y1 is -15. Watch the double negative there. x2 is 2. Take away x1, which is 7. So I get 0 plus 15 is 15. 2 take away 7 is -5. The slope, m, is going to be -3. That is the slope, 15 divided by -5, okay? Now, once we've got that, remember, we are going to put it into one of these two equations. You just choose. Let me give myself some space here, okay? So I've used the slope formula to find the slope. I'm now going to plug that slope and one of the points. And I think the easiest one to do, I think I'll choose this, because that's got I'll choose this one, okay? Right, so here we go. So the y is 0, okay, 0. The slope, remember, what we found is -3, right here. And the x is 2. Remember, I'm using this point here. The x is 2. I'm trying to find b, the y-intercept. Okay, so that is -6 plus b. If I add a 6 to both sides, then b equals 6. So my final answer is y equals -3x plus 6. Okay, because remember, that's the slope we found. That's the answer to that one, okay? So remember, you had to use the slope formula first before you used one of those two. And I just used that one. Right, now again with this one, this is actually an easier question because you've already got the slope. So again, if you like to use y equals mx plus b, we're going to say, okay, the y is -6. The slope is -2. The x also happens to be -6 plus b, okay? So that is -6 equals 12. What's that? Is that 2 times 6? -2 times 6 is +12 plus b. Take away 12, take away 12, that will give me -18. So b equals -18. So the final answer is y equals -2x. Again, remember, that's the slope, minus 18. Okay? Right, the hard one for this. We're still going to be using y equals mx plus b, okay? But we don't know what the slope is in this one. Now, remember perpendicular questions. Once you've found the slope of this line, you do negative reciprocal. Remember, turn it upside down and change the sign, and that'll give you the slope to use in here. So, first of all, we have to write it as y equals mx plus b because we need to know what the slope is. This is not written like that. So, again, we've got x minus 2y equals -2. So to get to this by itself, I'm going to take away the x. Take away the x from both sides. So I've got negative 2y, and in order, that's negative x, negative 2. Okay, so I've got to there right now. All I've done is taken away the x. Now can you see I'm going to divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. That goes, so y equals. Now if I think of that as a 1 there next to the x, can you see that's negative 1 over negative 2? That's positive 1/2. And this at the end, negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. So that is the same equation, but written in this form. Okay, so I can see what the slope is. Now I can see what the slope is. It's a half. So right now, the slope is a half. Remember, the slope of the perpendicular is turn it upside down and change the sign. So the slope is going to be negative 2. That is what I'm going to use with this point. Okay, so let's put it in. Again, remember, we're going to use this equation here. So y is negative 3. We found the slope to be negative 2. The x also happens to be negative 3. Let's get myself some space here. And then plus b. So remember, I've just put this point, x and y, with this slope. So negative 3 equals negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. If I take away 6 from both sides, then can you see b equals negative 9? So the final answer is y equals negative 2x minus 9. Again, remember, that's the slope we found earlier. Okay, and that's the y-intercept. So there you go.